such MC Hammer skills. Wow, Jay, I'm going to take you everywhere I go now. Thank you all so much for being here. Let's hear it for yourselves and hear it for me. Friday night, woo! I'm in a really, really good mood. Today is my Friday. Anybody else celebrating the day on the day?
No more Polynesian jokes.
No more, oh, okay. No more Polynesian jokes, I promise, yeah. So, little bit about myself. If you can't tell by my edgy look, I'm a mom. We have moms here tonight? Here are my moms. Excellent. So now you all know, you young people, if anyone here is lost or needs a ride home, you know where to come tell us, okay? If what you need is help in the bathroom, however, no. You're on your own. I'm not going to fall for that one again. That was a horrible, horrible evening. I just love being a mom. I don't know how my other moms here feel, but we're tired. It's Friday, but I have loved everything about this journey from really day one, like from the time that I first learned I was pregnant. The only thing that was hard for me then is kind of the well-meaning but really overbearing questions that you get. I don't know why I'm looking at a guy. You've never been pregnant, clearly. You know the ladies, though, like the ones that'll come out and they'll like touch your stomach and they have advice, and I just didn't do really well with that. I'm a really, really private person, and I don't do well with people getting up in my business, you know? Obviously, I made exceptions to that from time to time. I am pregnant in this story, however, but yeah, those ladies, they cornered me one day after church and they just started in, and I had about had it. You know, they were all like, do you want a boy or a girl? And I just said, look, ladies, I'm not really all that hung up on this one's gender. I'm just hoping and praying that it's white. Because my husband is, and I just feel like that's going to be a super long day at the hospital, you know, if we don't have a match set, all going home together. And wow, did that ever shut that shit down? Those ladies have not said a word to me since that day, and my boys are 23 and 25. They're still alive, yeah. We've got friends of my kids' friends here. I mean, that's what happens when you have kids. You don't make friends anymore. You hang out with your kids' friends' parents. Yeah, I don't know what we ever did before, but yeah, so you're dealing with this age group. They're cute at this age, aren't they? Yeah, you're gonna think about it. When they're asleep, they're cute at this age. For me, I feel like with my boys, it's like they're mid-phase. It's like they're half man, half child. It's like they've kind of aged out of this phase of development, and yet they're still here somehow, you know? They say things to me like, stop treating me like I'm a baby, and hell yes, I want an Easter basket. There is nothing creepier that you will ever see than a hungover, bearded dude holding a sparkly basket of eggs first thing Easter Sunday morning. I've seen it before, and I'm probably going to see it again, and it's not pretty. I feel for my boys like their perfect evening would look like a Blue's Clues themed booze cruise. Everything they love, on the water, on a boat. We went out to take advantage of the day after Christmas sales, and our day ended up involving both looking at handguns as well as a visit to the Disney store. You can't make that up, you just can't. So let me explain. We went to Cabela's because my boys are sporty, and at one point I couldn't find the younger one, and then I did, and I was sorry. He was looking at the handgun case. Don't worry, we did not pull the trigger. But as a mom, that's really scary. So we had to stop everything right then and there and have a little conversation. I asked him why he was looking at guns, and he replied that he needed protection. And then I asked him why he thought he needed protection, and come to find out he had plans later that evening with a young lady. Yeah, and she had asked him to bring protection. And he got confused. Yeah. I think what was going on is it was just kind of a clash of cultures. You know, you had kind of this Call of Duty mindset meets booty call duty mindset, you know. I don't know. I guess just for him it was just hard to nail that context. I guess maybe context is the last thing that kids nail these days. I think little Rachel down the street ended up being the first thing that he nailed that day. But they're fun. So then later at the outlet mall, they suddenly look up and there is the Disney store, and that was crazy. It was fun. It was kind of a trip down memory lane, and it brought back a lot of fun stories, and some of them weren't such great stories. Like there was the night that we ended up at Hooters because they loved owls and I hated saying no. Was Angel and Devil Night, if anyone's trying to kind of picture that one. Yeah. Or we used to love to go to gift stores and they could each pick out one thing. And these kids had such paralyzing indecision that they couldn't decide. I mean, I literally started to worry that there was something wrong with them. Like, is there such a thing as souvenirial disease? Is that even a thing? I don't know. Another funny thing that happened when my oldest son was about 6, he was obsessed with the Toy Story toys. And at one point, he had them all kind of lined up in his room, you know, like you do for a weekly meeting or something. And I looked in there and I realized something was really off with his lineup. And I couldn't quite put my finger on it at first. And then I realized, oh my God, my son has a big Buzz and a little Woody. I ask you, is there anything worse than being a guy with a big Buzz and a little Woody? I mean, what kind of a parent would send a child out with a big Buzz and a little Woody? What would be worse? Nothing, I don't think, unless you were to send your child out with like a big Buzz and a little Woody and a handgun. So, crisis averted, you're welcome. Wow, that is a maneuver there. Extra points for you. That's great. So my kids are great. You know, they're not what you'd call varsity taskmasters. It's like all I can do to get them to stop wrestling on the sofa long enough to take out the garbage. And you know how it is when you're a mom, you end up nagging, and then in the end, you end up just doing whatever it was you asked them to do yourself. And it has me really worried, like, what happens when I'm no longer here to nag? I mean, seriously, this is a big concern for me, like, very first thing. Like, when it's no longer that we need to take out the trash, but, you know, we've got to take out the ash. I have this vision of my afterlife taking place like on the bottom stair next to some folded laundry and a few pieces of mail that have to get put somewhere else. It's typical. It wouldn't be the first time that I was stuck at home with those two and set about doing what I wanted to do. I don't know. I mean, we're moms, so what happens every other time? We take matters into our own hands. I'm feeling like if I want to have any kind of a send-off, I'm going to have to just figure it all out myself. Like, you might turn on the news someday and see a story about a woman fully engulfed in flames running along the shore at Cannon Beach. That's where I want my final resting place to be, and I can't figure out any way else for me to get from point A to point B. It's tough. It's okay. It's all right. I'll take care of it. So, yeah, the boys are fun. They're fun. They like to share. They like to do things together. They just got matching tattoos. That's a pretty proud moment for a mom. Yeah, nowhere in the baby book for that one. And don't worry, I'm not going to do that thing that moms do, you know, where you act like your kids have vandalized something that you worked really, really hard to make, even though that's exactly what my kids have done. I don't know, they've just really, really embraced this concept of a permanent trend, and it makes me wonder if in fact I remembered to tell them what a permanent trend is. I don't know. I think the kids today love the tattoos because it's one thing that you can buy with your own money that you can never lose. And I get it. I mean, it's just so common that, you know, everyone that they know now has ink. When I was my boy's age, like, the only guy that I knew that had any tattoos was this guy whose house we used to go to really late at night. You know, when my friends wanted to buy stuff that they weren't going to tell their parents about. God, I can almost picture that guy's front porch. There was always something there that didn't belong there, like an appliance or a baby. But you always hit it with your toe. You couldn't see it until it was too late because someone had shot out the porch light, you know? Once inside, there was this gal that was always passed out on the sofa. She seemed really nice. I wanted to know more about her and how she had gotten that snake tattoo on her face, but she never came to in time. Luckily in those days, so there wasn't that much to talk about. You know, there was only the one kind of marijuana, so you didn't have to get into the strains or anything like that. Oh, yeah, they're fun. So let's see. Let's see, what should we talk about next? I know what we should talk about next. Can anybody hear me?
Oh, yeah.
That's a yes? Okay, good.
Yeah.
My therapist keeps saying that I need to work on being heard, and I have no idea what that even means, so I'm just asking everyone. What's really sad is that after my therapist said I really needed to work on being heard, I realized that I had said the same thing to her like 5 minutes before, so I have a lot of work to do. Probably need to do some crowd work as well. Where are you guys from? From here. People always say that. Like here, right here? Okay. Because I'd like to keep in touch, so I'll just come back here periodically and can count on you guys to be here. Yeah? Might want to watch that. You know, if people do that for too long, that's when families start to do interventions, you know. Mom, Dad, we want to see you somewhere other than here. Just once, yeah. So you're a couple? Cool. So all couples here tonight? Yeah, you guys are a couple as well? Maybe you don't know it yet. Tonight's the night. It's early. Could still happen for you. That's great. How many years have you been married to each other, I'm assuming? 1? Oh, you didn't hold up the middle finger. That was sweet. That was a nice touch. Not your first? Oh, you don't look hardly old enough to have squeezed another marriage in there. How did you manage? Oh my goodness, wow. No, I can relate. I was married for 25 years and then found myself single a few years ago for the first time in a long time. It's weird, isn't it? I mean, like the first time, when I think back to the last time that I was single, like Bush was common and popular. And Bush was also our president then, and you guys are an older crowd, I can tell you. I always, if it's the younger crowd, I say, oh, I'm not going to tell you which Bush, haha, very funny, but you guys are older, so I can tell you. It was actually Reagan. It's a whole new world out there, wasn't it? It's a whole new world. I just thought that it would be kind of fun for me to meet, you know, when it was time to start dating, I thought it would be fun for me to meet some interesting, dynamic people that I had a lot in common with, and then you got to start doing the internet dating thing. And then you see just how much internet dating and Dateline NBC have in common. And how dating and Dateline NBC have in common, like everything that you were ever taught to fear as a child. You know, you've got like cyberspace, nudity, strangers, alcohol, sex, drugs, drugging, as in roofies are being drugged through the forest. I don't know, hiking, as in missing hikers, you know, but what are you gonna do? I don't know, I thought it would be really easy for me to meet someone online when I first started trying it. Bumble did not see it that way. They seem to think we're gonna have to really cast a wide net if we're gonna find Prince Charming for this girl. They set my target age range at 35 to 80. 80? Like seriously, 80? Why stop at 80? I mean, he said 35 to dead. That's not including too large of a group of people. I'm sure we can accommodate everybody. I'm sure there's advantages to dating 80-year-olds. Like, give me a second. Okay, like if you were at the grocery store and he didn't want to buy you some candy, you could throw yourself on the ground and do a big tantrum and say, "You're not my dad." Oh, I know. What if like you don't like messy breakups, you know? With an 80-year-old, like you could just kind of wait it out, you know? Let nature take its course. I don't know. It could have been worse. I mean, think about it. It could have been 25 to 80. That would have been crazy. I'm not interested in dating 25-year-olds. And what's weird is that I hear from them periodically. It's really weird. I don't know quite what to make of it when it happens. Like I said, I have a lot of friends that would be really into it. But for me, it like triggers that, you know, that mom thing, that alarm you hear when they're playing a little too quietly and you know there's a bigger story of Brewing here, and I'm gonna get to the bottom of it. Like, when the young boys reach out to me, I feel like the bigger story I'm a part of is either, like, worst case scenario, maybe this is some gang initiation ritual, you know, like a bag of mom thing. Or like, best case scenario, maybe this is like some Eagle Scout Cougar badge thing that's gone awry. I don't know. It's really something. So yeah, I went into it with an open mind, hoping that I could just find a nice person that I could spend the next 40 years with. Okay, 30, you're giving me that look. Remaining good years with. And what I found was very different. The first guy that I heard from on day one wanted to know if he could come to my house that day at 4 o'clock for a hookup. So he was very direct. This is a true story. You couldn't make this up. This has to be true. Wow. I mean, as a mom, I try to see the best in people and say positive things in terms of feedback. So I told him, wow, you have a really great command of your booty call calendar. And I also love the fact that this plan of yours is going to have you home in time to have dinner with your wife and kids. That's pretty brilliant. I asked Bachelor number 2 how he likes his coffee, and his response, "Like my women, ground up and in the freezer." I'm on a roll. And Bachelor number 3 turned out to just have a very different political view than I do. He was kind of a white supremacist Trump-Publican guy, and we didn't have a love connection at all. So, as you can imagine, I've got some pretty hard decisions to make on that one. I'm not afraid of hard decisions at all. If I seem that way to you, I'm not. And I can prove it. Last summer, I went to my aunt and uncle's house. And when I got there, my cousin Dan was giving me the tour. And he was letting me know, this is my sister, so she knows what I'm talking about. He was letting me know where my options were to sleep that night. And I either had the choice between taking the bed that Grandma died in or the bed that my 55-year-old cousin Dan was conceived in. So I am not afraid to confront hard decisions. To answer the question, I slept on the floor. Thought I should try that. So anyhow, I think if I have to pick somebody of my Bachelor lineup, I think I'm probably gonna go with the freezer guy. Because to me, it's just really, really comforting to know where our relationship is headed, you know? And we all want someone that will stay with us to the end of our days, even if it's 3 or 4 days from now. I mean, it's just nice to know that someone's in it till the end. I can tell from the looks on your faces, you guys are all feeling pretty jealous of my program right now, aren't you? You guys are all jealous because I've been talking to dudes on the internet all day, aren't you? Yeah. You don't need to be. I'm not doing it anymore. I quit. I gave up. I couldn't take it. I decided that I was having to get out of the business, and I took one more call and talked to one more bachelor, and he turned out to be the one. So it's pretty exciting, yes. I'm really happy, I'm in love, and everything just tastes better and sounds better and feels better, and you know how it feels. It's kind of conflicting though, because he told me that he's an anesthesiologist. And I feel like those are the guys that are supposed to leave you feeling absolutely nothing, aren't they? I don't know, maybe I was confused. Maybe he said I got a gist, I got an ologist. Maybe he said archaeologist, I don't know. My mom said to not try to talk with something in your mouth, and maybe that was the problem, I don't know. Yeah, so that's fun. Let's see, what else should we be talking about? So I have been doing comedy for 5 years, and I actually started getting up on a stage about 5 years ago, but I've actually been funny all my life. I think I started being funny when I was a really, really small child as kind of a desperate means to get my mother's attention. I think I had heard somewhere that if you can make a woman laugh, you can get her to do anything. And a lot of mornings, I needed some breakfast and a ride to school, you know? Especially those snowy mornings if you had a big diorama or something to carry. Rides home were never any trouble though, because there was this guy that used to park his van across the street. You know Big Eddie? Yeah, he always insisted it was no trouble at all. He was just going to be driving around, and besides, he needed some help finding his puppy. Yeah, people always ask me, like, is it really scary to get up on stage and do comedy? And I tell them, you know, doing this is really all about overcoming your insecurities and facing your fears. Does this mic make me look fat? Please don't laugh. I feel like everyone's just staring at me right now. This is so awkward.
Yeah.
Anyhow, my point is, comedy's not really all that scary if you've spent a lot of time in the back of a van and have raised teenagers as I have. And let's be honest, I mean, a lot of us need to work on our insecurities and facing our fears. A lot of us comedians are pretty screwed up. Like, a lot of us are on a scale somewhere between like 1 and Joker. When they're putting us in the back, like in a green room, that's not because we're exclusive. That's to keep you guys safe. A lot of times I'll see security out in front, and I'm not sure if that's to keep the bad guys in or the bad guys out. But it's been fun. I've had amazing opportunities come my way in this 5 years. I got to do my first comedy festival last year in San Francisco. That was really, really fun. I'm here tonight opening for Dean Olson, which is just a wonderful milestone. It's been great, but you know, I've got to also be realistic about where I'm at. I mean, after 5 years, I'm at a point where I can stay working pretty darn consistently if I'm willing to work for free. But I feel like I could do that. I feel like I could do that in any industry. I don't think I've really stumbled onto a wonderful opportunity within comedy here. It's amazing what people will ask. I was asked